Hello, hello. So here is an update on what's going on my allotment. This is my the grand arrival at the allotment, coming down past some of the other plots with all sorts of lovely things going on as we go down. All sorts of exciting things and cobbled together things and supports and nettings and all sorts of randomness, which is one of the joys of allotments. Everything here will have a very important purpose. It's just whoever it is has got it has probably forgotten what that purpose is, but it will have a purpose and it will have had. Here is one of the lovely things that I have is a water container and tap very close to my allotment. That makes things much easier for me. So here's mine at the end here. That house didn't used to be here. It was put up well a year or so ago, so yeah, it's I'm just getting used to it still. Here is take my bag off. Here's my plot, which is pretty bounteous at the moment and full of all sorts of rompings of plants. So I'll start off in the greenhouse. I'm going to step over what used to be, well, it's the Echium vulgare, the Viper's bugloss, but that's just about finished flowering now, so it's a bit easy to get over. So into my greenhouse, which is, it's just lovely, isn't it? So look, here are my tomatoes. These ones on this side are Gardener's Delight, and they look statuesque. That's probably the only word for them. Well, there's probably others, but that's one. Look at them. And then on this side is a variety that will remain nameless because I've forgotten what it is, but that one's a bigger beefsteak tomato. So look over here. I mean, look how happy these plants look. So you can see the tomatoes are forming some lovely trusses all the way across here, and lots of flowers and more tomatoes coming. Really lovely. So at the bottom here, so I've taken all the lower leaves off because tomatoes ripen through warm hot air getting around them, so it's not the actual sunlight on them, it's the actual hot air. So it's best to clear leaves around, because one from the bottom, because one it reduces the energy that goes into the leaves, and also it makes more warm air able to circulate around the tomatoes. So I've already started on the tomatoes, eating them, and they are really sweet and juicy. I've been watering them every single day in the lockdown, or well, I'm not sure if it's still called a lockdown, but then there's like the ripening, starting to ripen the beefsteak tomatoes as well. So yes, so I water them every day, and then once a week I give them a feed of either liquid seaweed or comfrey juice. So these are beautiful. So these are just starting, so these are going to be fruiting and giving me tomatoes for weeks and weeks now, and they're absolutely delicious. They just get gobbled up quickly. So yes, so then out onto the actual plot, see what's going on here today. It's a very hot day today. It's the beginning of August, so if I watch this video in darkest January, I'll probably be sobbing at that thought, but for now it's all lovely. Here is the resplendent sweet corn patch. I mean, it just looks beautiful, doesn't it? It absolutely, I could just look at that for days, really. It makes me happy. So we can see the male flowers on the top of sweet corn. So these are sweet corns always planted in blocks rather than rows, and it's so that on a day like today, because they're wind pollinated, the pollination happens from those flowers on the top, the male flowers, down to the cobs which are forming below. So on this side of the block at the moment, they're a bit smaller the other side, because this is on the shaded side. So if I was to look through, oops, without falling over, yeah, so down there you can see the cobs are getting bigger on that side. So these are looking really healthy. I've got in amongst them some marigolds that somebody who I don't know sent to me from Facebook, and they're lovely, adding a splash of colour. And also there's some red orache, so a friend kindly reminded me what that was after my last video when I couldn't remember. By the way, you may be able to hear in the background, of course they'll stop now, the red kite. So the red kites, there's one that perches in those trees and roosts, and at this time of day usually calls out to its mate. So so you might hear that in the background with a bit of luck. So there's the sweet corn, which is amazingly lovely. I've got some chard there, which we've been using as well. Makes a very, very nice risotto. And then I will show it, I'll come back to it, but look at this beauty. Look at that. It's got a very, very lovely bee on it. I don't know if you can see that there. And it's just perfect, isn't it? I mean, it's a perfect thing. So it's done quite well. I mean, I just sowed the seed and it's now about 6 foot 2 1/8 tall, because it's about the same height as me. Although my 8th seems to have gone. I'm not sure what happened to that since I was 18. I've not got, my 8th has gone. But let's not dwell on that. So yes, so here down here, I've got some more tomatoes just fending for themselves in a bit of a shady position, not particularly good, but they're looking quite healthy. So, and they've got some flowers on, and they may even be starting to get some fruit. Oh yeah, there we go. So these are some of the beefsteaky ones. So look, they've actually got some fruit coming, so they're doing all right considering they're in the shade. And they're growing in amongst some, I think this is Atlantic Giant, these pumpkins, so this should get very big. At the moment it's there's one big one and one not so big one, and I might just chop the not so big one off because it seems to be not really doing very well and probably using up energy, which is a bit heartless, but you know, got to be cruel to be kind in growing pumpkins. So yes, so that plant grows all the way like there, and oh, there's another one coming on another plant over there, just starting. So you can see a female flower there. There's lots of male flowers which don't have the fruiting body underneath. They're fairly useless being male, like most species, but the female part is doing all the hard work and will be producing the goods later on in the summer. So I'm going to step back here so that you can see a bit more of the glory that is the French beans. Now the light's a bit behind, so my aperture's a bit up the chute, but look at that wall of beaniness. And these are lovely purple beans, and they're starting to really crop well now. So you can see under here, lovely, lovely beans everywhere. Beans. I've got way more than we'll be able to eat, even if we have them every day. But I'll be able to freeze them, and they are especially good in a fresh pesto. So pesto à la Genovese. So the Genovese pesto, they eat them with French beans inside them, or chopped beans. And when we first tried that, we thought, I'm not so sure about this, but yeah, very, very nice. So look, I'm trying to get my focusing. So there's lovely flowers on these beans, and lots of baby beans coming as well. So yeah, lots of stuff. I've got the tree spinach, which is now properly like a tree. So this is growing. I've nibbled at it raw, but I've not cooked it or anything like that. But it's very nice. Yeah, it's very nice. So, and it's huge. So it's the one that's got this purpley pink where the leaves are growing, and yeah, it's verdant. It's verdant. And then over here, so this is the other side of my beans. So again, another wall of beans. So I am going to be eating a lot of beans. We are going to be eating a lot of beans, both of us, not only me. And then down here we've got another pumpkin. So I planted a pumpkin in amongst the beans just to see what happened, and it's being a bit overwhelmed, but it's not doing too badly. And there's some rocket which has seeded itself there as well. So yeah, I mean, this all used to be quite tidy and controlled. So the pathways are now, yeah, they're just about pathways. Some of them have gone. That one's just about a pathway. And then over here, so here's the pond. I'm going to go around the other side actually to get a better angle. So here's the wildlife pond, which is, the water's nice and clear. There's got quite a lot of weed growing over there, but it looks really, really healthy. Oh my God, there's a dragonfly laying its ovipositing. Wait a minute. Let's see if I can get it. There it is. Look, can you see down there? That's very, very exciting. That's off the scale exciting. So there we have. Look at that. Is laying the eggs in my pond. It's decided that this pond is clean and in a good enough position for it to put all its efforts into laying eggs in it. So that is an honour and a privilege, and I'll make sure that I keep the pond really, really clean for that beautiful creature. I'm not very good on dragonflies. That could be an emperor dragonfly, but I'm not sure. But oh, look at it! Isn't that beautiful? Oh, it seems a shame to not keep on watching that for the rest of the evening, but a cameraman's work is never done, so I shall veer away. So that's really lovely. That's a real treat. So, and yes, and see, well, you can see. I mean, I think that the reason the dragonfly is there, one is that the water's clear, but also this is a really wild pond. So it's got all around here. It's got all sorts of roseberry willow herb. It's got wild carrot. It's got feverfew, not particularly wild. It's got wild marjoram down here. Lots of grasses. I've got logs over there. I've got blackberries, brambles, and nettles over there. So it's a really good habitat for anything wild. Which is why that dragonfly's there. So anyway, oh, that's made my evening. Right. So yes, then over here we've got another pumpkin. This one's scrambling over, and look at the way these tendrils come out. So this one, I don't think it's got anything fruiting at the moment, but oh yes, there's one. Wait a minute, I'll show you. There's one fruit right in there. Look, from that one. There it is, hidden away. So I'm not sure how good the filming is on this, but we'll see. And then here, yes, so this is my cage of brassicas. So it's got some really nice, I'm not sure I'll be able to focus through it. No, probably not. Anyway, it's got some really nice, honestly, it's got some really nice red cabbages in there and other stuff. So that's growing fairly well. It's a little bit wild, and I've had some broccoli, but it's been a bit tough and a bit stringy. So I think it got a bit too dry early on. But the red cabbages certainly look really good. And then on to here, so we've got the autumn fruiting raspberries. So there's two types of raspberries. I mean, look at these beauties. Look at those, beautiful. Yeah, so there's two types of raspberries. There's summer flowering and autumn flowering, but I mean, the summer just comes before the autumn because there's a bit of a crossover probably in July time. But these ones are easier to manage, and the cutting them down basically every March. You cut down last year's canes and they grow up and they fruit in the year. So these were all down to the ground in March, and you get a really long supply of them. So the bees are busy on them at the moment, but they fruit. It says they started fruiting about 10 days ago, and they'll keep on fruiting all through August, most of September. They might slow down in the second half of September, but you get weeks and weeks of beautiful juicy raspberries. Yeah, they're really delicious. I've got a bit of a something on there. Look at this. I've got a few of them, which I think is just because of the random weathering. Normally, if I've got any marks on things like raspberries, it's because the weather's been a bit strange and they've been a bit stressed. So they've either been really dry in the spring, which is the most likely thing. Then they've had a bit of flood. I mean, they've had a bit of all sorts really. So that'll probably be because of that. The plants are stressed, but generally, there's lots and lots of lovely raspberries on here. So yes, amazing. Then over here, the next bed. So I've got some leeks here. Which is a celebration of the bonkersness of transplanting leeks. So I sowed these in the spring, and then what you do to transplant them, you sort of dig them up when they're seedlings, you butcher them, you chop half the leaves off and you chop half the roots off, and then you make a big hole, stick them in that state, so in a state of despair, water them and leave them, and that's intended to make the stems longer and whiter, I think. So I've not done that for a few years. I've tried it this year because I saw it on Gardeners World. So we shall see. I've probably completely cocked it up, but we'll see. Hopefully it'll be all right. So then over here is another. So this was my new potatoes. So they've all been dug up now. So new potatoes, onions, garlic, shallots, broad beans, they've all finished on the allotment for this year. So they've been replaced by this lovely, doesn't that look healthy? It's a lovely pumpkin. Can't remember for the life of me the name of it, but it produces a very beautiful slate grey blue pumpkin. So you can see there's one just starting to form here under there, and it looks like it's going to be beautiful. So the plant looks healthy, which is great. In fact, it's looking healthier as it goes. So I'm hoping, so there's some more of the useless male flowers, I say useless, that's harsh. I'm sure they've got very, very good use to them. But there's no more females at the moment, so I'm hoping for one more pumpkin on this plant, because I've got 2 of these, so it'd be really nice to get a couple of pumpkins on off each plant. So and then over here, so I've got some calendula, so we'll see as we come to the other part of the allotment. I've got lots of flowers and lots of calendula to help the insects, but we've also here, I've got some ragwort. So if you keep horses, this will be something you don't want to see, but on an allotment it's fine. And you will be able to see, probably, it's the reason I grow it, I'll leave it, it's absolutely laden with cinnabar moth caterpillars. Now the cinnabar moth itself is stunning. It's a black and red, it's like a sort of, like one of the Dracula type moths. I'm not sure that's an official terminology, so these are the caterpillars of that moth, and one of my favourite things about this moth is a bit random about this caterpillar. So when I worked at Chelsea Flower Show about 25 years ago, maybe even longer ago, on a Henry Doubleday organic gardening stand, I had the pleasure of doing that, and this lady came up to me and she was asking me about a certain caterpillar, and she was describing it as, she kept saying, you know, that caterpillar that's the same colour as the Letchworth second 15 rugby shirt. And not being a supporter of the Letchworth first 15, let alone the second 15, I had no idea what she was talking about. And eventually I got to realise what she meant was, she was talking about the cinnabar moth caterpillar. So if anybody watching this lives in Letchworth, the second 15 rugby team, I think, wears a orange and black stripy kit, or unless she was just lying. So yeah, so that's, and every time I see the caterpillar, I think of that moment, actually, because it was very sweet. And then over here, we've got main crop potatoes. So these are either Cara or Picasso. I alternate every year and always forget which ones I've got. Picasso was actually bred from Cara, and it's a white potato with sort of little pinky red eyes, very, very lovely for baking and using for most things. And so these are doing quite well, so they're getting a bit dry now. I'll be digging them up fairly soon because I put them in March. And the biggest threat to getting a good crop of potatoes are slugs, and in particular keel slugs. So keel slugs live underground. They're not the ones that are above the ground eating leaves and plants and hostas and things like that. They're under the ground, and what they do is, when it's wet, they burrow down to the potatoes and they start to eat them. So they stick their heads and their bodies in. There goes an empty train, of course. It wouldn't be right with that one. And they so they start to chomp away, and you'll find a potato and you'll see the arse of a keel slug sticking out of it, and it means that unfortunately it's already started to eat the potatoes, and it means that they're difficult to store. They rot when they store, and also you might chop a potato and half of it will have gone. So so if you dig them up before it gets too wet, then actually you wouldn't get any slug damage. So rather than having to spray or do anything like that, that's the way to do it, I would suggest. So yeah, that's what I do. Then also on here, let me show you, it's quite interesting if I can find some. Oh yeah, so if you look over here, so there is the fruit of a potato, so because potatoes are the same family as tomatoes, so they fruit in the same way. The only difference is that the potato fruits are poisonous, but yeah, same plant family. Also deadly nightshade, woody nightshade, 2 other poisonous plants, same family as potatoes and tomatoes. So yeah, here we go. And then I'll wander over to have a look here. So this is, yes, so I've got lots of cosmos growing here, which look lovely. Got some beetroot growing here. I was going to look at this. Watch this one. I've been meaning to pull this up for a while. Look at that. That's a huge beetroot. In fact, it's got two bottoms, which is that could be quite painful. But yeah, it's a double bottomed beetroot, and so these are lovely beetroots where when you slice them, they've got sort of lovely white and red concentric rings in, so they're very pretty, and very nice as well. So using them on salads or grated on risottos or boiled and eaten on top of a cheese butty, whatever you fancy really. So yeah. Then over here, so I've got more pumpkins. So where once there were paths, there are now pumpkins, and where once there were paths, there are now courgettes. So here's some pumpkins. They're already starting to ripen. So these are ones that I normally grow ready for our fungus foray and our party, and we cut these in half and use them as soup bowls. This year, alas, we won't be doing that. Well, we won't be having the party, unfortunately, but I will still harvest them, and we'll still use them as bowls and eat soup out of them just to celebrate, and hopefully we'll be able to do the party next year. I've just noticed something. Look at this. There's a pesky critter. Oh, it could be ants. Look, can you see that hole there? There's one there, look. There's the other side. Some critters, something's made that hole. And over there, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's not causing any damage. Could be anything, so that's exciting. So yeah, well, no idea what it is, but very exciting. Anyway, down over here, so we've got some lettuce, we've got more. So this is one of my favourite things to grow. These are tromboncinos, and they're a type of gourd, and when they're small, you can use them like, oh, there's a comma butterfly. I'll try and get it in a minute. Yes, so when they're small, you can you eat them like a courgette, and when they're large, you eat them same as butternut squash. And when you first plant them, so I sowed them in May, and for about 3 weeks they look very sad, like they're not going to ever grow. And then all of a sudden, kaboom! And then look, they're absolutely romping along now, And so look, so here is tromboncino. And they are really, really good things to grow. So all of that is flesh and is good to eat. And on the other one, there's something growing in there as well. There's a lot of leafage, and they're lovely plants, and they're doing quite well. So yeah, some lettuces in amongst there. These are my marigolds. So I never sow these. These ones, you can see, these are all seeds. So I just let them every year just drop, and then I try and control them a bit, but they've taken over the path, of course, but that's fine. It's quite good for stretching when I come up to the allotment at the moment, because I have to contort myself to get over the various things that are growing in what used to be paths. So I think of it as a stretching exercise. So I've got carrots, lots of carrots here, growing away nicely. More of those marigolds that the nice lady off Facebook sent to me. More carrots there, doing well. And they're lovely looking plants. They look really healthy, don't they? It looked really, really lovely. And then, so what I did I sowed a whole load of lettuces, thinking, well, the slugs will have them, they won't all germinate, and blow me, they all germinated and the slugs didn't have them. So they're now going a bit over, but what I've used that as a bit of a bed to then transplant lettuces from. So those ones over there were transplanted from here, and this is the next lot. So I've used it okay. It's quite strange to transplant them when they're quite that big, and they look, for all the world, like they've had it. When you plant them, they look very sad and they go all flubbly and not very happy at all. And then all of a sudden they get the roots down and off they go again. So yeah, so they're looking fine. That comma butterfly keeps flying around. I keep trying to get it, but I keep missing it. I'll try again. So, well, as I've shown on each little, there it is. Look, I've had it all go again. Can you see it? Oh, got it. There it is. Now this comma, this might sound a bit daft. Oh, there's an empty train again. Yes, this comma is quite amazing. It's always in this part of the allotment, and it's always sunning itself around here. So they must be territorial. I didn't realise, but I think they must be territorial. So then over here we've got, that's a salvia, but then this is lovely that this is flowering. So this is an abutilon. So it's a really beautiful colour. So there's a lady, again, without wanting to name drop, but at Chelsea Flower Show more recently, there's a lady who grows abutilons, and she breeds them, and a lot of them are actually named after her family members. And she always used to tell me, I haven't seen her for a couple of years, right, make sure that you feed them and keep them well watered. So I keep feeding it, and it's already flowered lots, and here it goes again. So she'd be very happy if she saw this. And it's a beautiful, beautiful colour. So yes, and then round here we've got some more tomatoes. So I've put these outside so you see how they look exactly the same as the fruits on potatoes, but should not be mistaken. And then these ones they're actually starting to ripen as well, even though they're outdoors. So it's been quite warm. They say they like warm air to ripen them, and particularly at the moment the evenings are so warm. That's going to be helping them ripen as well. And then over to the courgettes, which are just magnificent plants, absolutely beautiful, huge. And I've been harvesting them a lot. I'm not sure if there's anything. Oh, you can start to see. Oh yeah, there you go. There's the next one's coming. I picked about 5 yesterday. There's loads more coming, look, already. And there's 2 plants. So if I go over to here, here we go. Look at those. There's more. There's another one. And they're probably getting about, I don't know, 8 or 10 a week from 2 plants. So I try and pick them when they're small because they grow really quickly. So that will probably double its size in the next 2 or 3 days, and then you get just too much courgettage. So if you get them when they're small, then they're really tender, really nice. They can go in with anything. You can have them grated as a salad. Very nice salad from Polpo is so you use a potato peeler to get thin slices of courgette, and then mix that with some wild rocket leaves and some basil, torn basil, a bit of lemon juice, parmesan and sea salt, and it's really delicious salad. So yes, I recommend that. It's really nice. And also, I mean, if you are somebody who loves stuffed courgette flowers, grow your own, because that's the way to get these beauties. Look at those, they're in perfect condition to stuff with a bit of something nice. And then over here we've got some celery, which I'm going to start to try and get the stems white with a clever use of insides of toilet rolls. That's my plan anyway. And then we've got over here, we've got some spring onions. So that's a quick romp through the allotment. So I'll do a little wander past again. It's gone from being sort of a little bit looking quite neat and tidy with paths and rows of things to a wanton kerfuffle of plantings, but it's really lovely. I love it this time of year. I give up on trying to keep it neat and tidy and just enjoy picking things and eating them, and enjoy the sights and the smells and everything. So all sorts of loveliness, including that dragonfly may still be there. I'm going to now pick some tomatoes and pick some raspberries for pudding for tea tonight. Oh, here's another pumpkin growing over. That's one of those slate blue ones. So that'll be lovely to watch that growing. It looks very healthy. And then we come over and yeah, also I'm going to do a final bit because the sunflower's in the sun, so I'll finish on a high, like the end of a film. This is when the orchestra will burst into full life and blow all sorts of instruments as I finish with that beautiful finale of the sunflower. So yeah, all right, see you all soon, I hope. Bye.